Hello and welcome to another installment of App Marketing Conversations. As always, I'm here with Robi Ganguly of Apptentive, Ryan Morel of Gamehouse, and I'm Ian Sefferman of MobileDevHQ. One of the most sort of or least talked about features of KitKat, of Android KitKat, was this new Google App Indexing feature, and I think Google App Indexing is a feature that deserves a lot of talk. So I'll give a quick overview of what it is. Then we can talk about what its potential ramifications are. So app indexing is essentially, the first thing that you have to know is that in KitKat, the search is the new home screen, right? It is essentially built in, baked in, more or less unchangeable, etc. So web search becomes the new home screen, except for web search isn't just web search anymore. So now they have this new thing where you can tell it what content you actually have within an app, and if your search result comes up with a web page for an app that's already installed, you can, instead of opening the web page, you can open the app directly to that piece of content. So it's essentially figuring out how to do deep linking within an app by doing it instead by indexing the web and then telling it what it actually has in this app. So that's really, really interesting for a variety of reasons. I think it shows the convergence of mobile and web, the convergence of the app ecosystem and the web ecosystem. I think it shows organic re-engagement, organic discovery, all of this stuff on mobile in a better way. So let's talk about that first piece, because I think that's a place where it's really interesting both to me and to you. So how do you think about, how should a marketer be thinking about re-engagement from sort of a search perspective? Have you guys given that any thought?
Well, we haven't really given that specific aspect thought, but it's the idea that, any way you can let people know about the things they can do with your app that maybe they don't have top of mind, right? So the reality is most of us only have a few apps on our home screen, and then we have all these other apps deeper, and they're not really popping up top of mind all the time. So if you imagine yourself being an app that's on the third or fourth screen, and you help people find recipes, and somebody's looking for a recipe on their phone, and you've optimized your content to make sure that your app can show up in those results, I think that's what you're doing to communicate, again, to the consumer. Here's where we are, we're right here, it's a quick and easy answer, and it's like, oh yeah, I installed that 3 months ago, I forgot about it.
Yeah. What do you think about it? High level overview.
I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I think one of the questions, I think it's really interesting that we're seeing the conflation of the mobile web experience and the mobile app experience, and leading, and the mobile app experience is winning, right? So people are spending more time making their native experience better and accessible. So I think that's pretty interesting, especially if the mobile web is going to be the next big thing, right? So that's interesting. And two, I start to question, what are Google's real motivations here beyond a utility perspective? Are they seeing a massive increase in mobile usage without a corresponding massive increase in mobile web search and CPC prices? Because ultimately you could see this becoming a who's going to pay to be the highest result in these app search things, right?
That's true.
If people get to 150 apps, so the recipe one is a great example, right? Like if you're into recipes, you have 5 recipe apps.
Which one?
Which one comes up first, right?
That's right?
And the reality is all those recipe apps have the same recipes, the same titles. It's like, so my example will be, we're going to fry turkey this year. And
Turducken?
No, God, fried turducken would be it. That's also just called a heart attack. So, you type in fried turkey recipe and you get 5 individual things that all look exactly the same. So how is Google going to decide who gets to go first? And will it there would likely be sponsored listings? So, yeah.
Really, really interesting. The other piece of this puzzle that I just think is an interesting sort of anecdote is it again seems to show me that Google is doing more innovation than Apple is doing, especially when it comes to search and discovery and re-engagement of apps. Do you agree with that statement or disagree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there are 2 reasons. I think one is Google's in the business of being in front of people's time and attention and monetizing the connection via search as the primary discovery mechanism. And so all of their incentives financially are aligned with going faster here. I mean, this is clearly a search play, right, an information play. But I think the second thing is that Apple continues to disappoint externally from the web services perspective, right? Like things that they build on the web services front tend to be weak and they tend to lag.
Yep. What do you think? What do you think about that? And what do you think about just in general? Sort of, do you think that if Google is doing better at search and discovery and innovating, that long term that's the right strategy for them to win?
I mean, I think it's a strategy, and it also depends on what winning means, right? So if winning is market share, then sure. Because as you know, I think you said it best, right? So Google's monetization is search and advertising. So I mean, I think we consistently hear about the from an app developer, an app marketer perspective, hey, iOS monetizes better. I'm not sure that Google cares about that, right? So I mean, I am pretty sure they care about driving up search revenue, and mobile's a great way to do that. So from Apple's perspective, I mean, they're not that good at stuff. At this sort of stuff, but they still build the best consumer electronic experience, and that's what they care about. So I think winning for each of them is something different.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll be sure to put some links about Google App Indexing into this blog post. Be sure to check out the other videos and subscribe to our channel and like this video. And thanks for watching.